Hi there, welcome to Philly the Kid Dev Diary Part 7. Today I want to talk a little bit about a new lasso mechanic which allows you to swing across gaps, and I'll just give you a little demonstration of how that works now. So that all seems fairly straightforward, but in actual fact getting this up and running has been a little bit tricky, so I just wanted to give you a bit of an insight into how I've gone about implementing this. So if you look here, what I've got set up is a large sphere, with a smaller sphere attached to it, and in the middle of the large sphere is something called a configurable joint, and what this does is it's giving information to the large sphere about how it's allowed to rotate around this central point. So now if we take a look at this in action, you'll see that this large sphere is rotating around this central point and it's being pulled by this small sphere, which is acting like a pendulum. And that's because this small sphere has a component called a rigid body. And what a rigid body does is it tells an object that it's going to be affected by physics, such as gravity. And this allows us to have this really nice simulation of an object swinging back and forth and gradually slowing down over time. Now what I also have here is a script which tells the small sphere to move as close to the player as it can whilst the player is walking around the scene, and this ensures that when the player uses their lasso to swing on an object, the physics simulation will take into account where the player was when they started swinging. So if they start right under the pivot point, they won't swing very much, whereas if they start way off to the side, their swing will be a lot stronger. And the final part of this is that when the player lassos a point they can swing on, another piece of code is saying to the player, find where that little sphere is, and wherever that is, that's where you're supposed to be. So if we see that one more time, with all these spheres hidden, you can see how this really quite roundabout process all comes together to give us this really nice little impression of the character swinging smoothly on the end of a rope. And doing it in this way allows Unity's own physics engine to handle that gravity and all that overshoot and that slowdown, so we don't have to program that in ourselves. So there's a little insight into some of the more novel solutions that we sometimes come up with to try and get around these problems. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.